So when we go to another project, let's say ABC development, we can see our tasks here. We have a high, 2 lows, and a medium. We click on charts. Our chart is now updated with the 2 low, 1 high red, and 1 yellow. The way to read this chart is anytime the red line is over the green line, we have incurred an actual cost higher than our planned cost. Hey, this is My SharePoint Questions, and I am Andrew Hess. So today what I wanted to go over was more of the chart creation. I wanted to create some more charts in Power Apps. If you want more power than what Power Apps can give you, go to Power BI. There's a lot more functionality that you can pull from Power BI into Power Apps. And we may do that later. I may pull in some Power BI into our Power Apps. There is a Power BI tile, so maybe you do want to pull in some Power BI into your Power Apps. But right now, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do it all in Power Apps. So I've been working on this project a little while, and it is a Power App for project management. And we can create a project, we can have our tasks. I had a few questions. I'm not going to get to them this week, but maybe in the next week I'm going to get to your questions. But one thing someone said is, how come when we create a task in the patch statement, I don't default to anything? Well, right now, we're not creating an edit page. We're only creating new items right now. So this is only for new line items. We are not editing previous line items. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of editing everything in here, like, we'll just create new line items here. But if we're going to edit, we're going to edit in this view, and we're going to make it look like SharePoint. We'll do the quick edit. We'll toggle this, and everything will be editable. I think that's how I'm going to plan to do this, which is maybe a little different than most people are using. But that's why our patch statement does not have any defaults, or doesn't relate to anything, because we're just saying, hey, this is our SharePoint list, write this, and we're keeping it as basic as we can. And that's what I'm trying to do, is break things down slowly. So maybe people who are more advanced, you know some things that maybe are off. It's because I'm trying to break this down for new people too. I understand that people know a lot about Power Apps now, as it's been maybe 3 or 4 years Power Apps has been out. But for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple charts. And the charts are going to be on the task data. In the previous video, I did a chart on my project data. So this is my projects in total. So I have 4 green, 2 yellow, and 1 red. So now I want to do some on the task data per project. So on this one project, I want a chart. So I'm going to create a new screen. And this doesn't have to be a new screen. Like, there's some really cool things we can do, but I'm going to do it on a new screen for now. So we're going to do a new screen. It's going to be blank. And from our task list, I want a button. And right now I'm still just trying to keep everything simple. Navigate to, right now it says screen 3. We'll rename this to charts. I'll just keep it simple. Task charts. How about that? Task charts. And you notice, I notice people talking about this in Twitter, is I normally give my screen names full caps all the way through. I don't know why I do that. It's just, that's what I'm used to. If someone wants to argue how I do my screens, or change how you do it, feel free. That's just how I do it. So this button is going to navigate to task charts on a fade. Charts. All right, so this button right now is just going to take us to a blank screen, and this is where our charts are going to be. All right, so we're on a blank screen. On this screen, I believe I'm going to have 2 different charts for right now. The top one is going to be a line chart. I'm going to do a line chart up here. Now, let's get back to basics. Why do people do line charts? Normally with line charts, They are for viewing data over a period of time or comparing a few different data sets over time. And so I'm going to try and do that here in Power Apps. We may need Power BI for what we're trying to do, but we're going to see what we can pull out. And the other one is going to be a pie chart. Now I know pie charts are pretty simple, but we're going to do a pie chart. All right, so we have another chart here, and we'll fill in all the data or all the labels and everything later. For right now, I'm going to remove the line chart. Like, we're just going to keep it simple. That's what I keep trying to do. Is if I bring out too many techniques, people maybe get lost. We're going to try and focus on one technique, and that is populating this pie chart. Now, why do people use pie charts? People normally use pie charts for very simple data. They want to compare a few items. They want to compare, percentages. If there's more than, let's say, 10 items in your pie chart, you may want to go to Power BI. Let's say you wanted to compare, 100 different items. Maybe you want a tree map chart. But for now, let's do a pie chart. So we're going to do something very similar we did for the last chart. And we are going to create a few collections. And I'm going to do it on my task charts OnVisible. The data I want to collect is going to be the risk data. I'm going to collect the high, medium, lows. So let's create a back button real quick just so we can see. So this button is going to take us back. Okay, so we go back, press play. We go back, we have a risk column here. And it is low, high, or medium. I'm going to show just this project the high, medium, lows. All right. So what we're going to do is on visible of this screen is we are going to do a concurrent. So concurrently, we're going to do 3 different collections of data. We're going to collect high, medium, and low. So for all of the ones in my project, that's what we're going to do. So for all the ones in a filter of the project that we have selected, so this is the project tasks list. My project tasks list is my SharePoint list here. And each one have a certain project ID. So we want to only do the project task list of the project ID compared to the one that we have selected. So we're going to say the project task list where the project ID is equal to the galProjects.Selected.ID. Now let me just kind of show you that first. So if we go back, right here on this screen is my gal projects. This is my gallery projects. So you can see it's named here, gal projects. When we click on the task button, we are selecting that project. So we see select parent. So when we click on this task button, we're selecting that project. And then in our formula here, we're saying when the project ID is equal to the one we have selected. But not only do we want the one when it's selected, we also want to filter when risk is equal to high. So when risk is equal to high, we're going to collect a collection. We'll call it colRedRisk. And it's going to collect, so curly bracket, a title field, and it's going to be called red. And the risk. So this is the risk from our SharePoint list. The title is one I just created. So I created a single line text or like a single text field, and I call it red, and it's risk. And we're going to do it again for all. And I'll just copy this actually. We're going to do it 3 times. And instead of risk high, we're going to say risk medium, low, and this will be yellow and green, collection yellow risk, collection green risk. Now let's figure out what I have wrong here. as normal, I normally forget a parentheses, and I forgot a parentheses right here. All right, so now we have that correctly working. But before this works, we want to make sure that we clear each one. And I'm going to clear collection RedRisk, clear, we're going to do concurrent again, concurrent, clear collection RedRisk, clear collection YellowRisk, and clear collection GreenRisk. Okay, so we're clearing all of our data every time we collect. And then finally, now that we have 3 different collections, we're going to join them together. Clear collect this time, task risk. So we'll call it collection task risk. And it's going to count the rows of collection RedRisk. And we're going to do that all the way down YellowRisk and GreenRisk. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this is because sum is not a delegible formula in Power Apps for SharePoint. So that's why I'm breaking this down like this. So our collection at the end is called collection task risk. So here in the pie chart, our items will be collection task risk. We should only have 3 different values that could be in there. It's not collected yet until the OnVisible property. So OnVisible, it looks like we have 8, 2, and 3. So let's go back. So I'm guessing 8. 8 is low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is low. Medium is 3 and high is 2. So I'm going to change the color set here. So for our first color set, and that is our first number collected, is red. That's our 2. Then yellow, and then green. And I'll write in green here also. Just so we get those, high contrast colors, which I recommended against before this one right now. We'll just say green, yellow, red. And so we can put our chart wherever we want, and we can give it some new labels. So this is our task risk for this one project. So let's check out another project, see if everything's working correctly. So when we go to another project, let's say ABC development, we can see our tasks here. And we have a high, 2 lows, and a medium. We click on charts. Our chart is now updated with the 2 low, 1 high red, and 1 yellow. I think people understand that right away. Let's say we created a new task and it is a high risk task. Priority is low, 0.3, cost is 1,000, actual cost 0 for now. Risk we'll say is high, not complete, and it is a task, and we will save. So we have a new task in here. It's high risk value, a high risk task. Charts, we now see that we have 2 high risks, 2 low, and 1 medium risk task. So I think this is really neat. We're really getting somewhere. Let's go back to my fully filled out project and go back to charts. Okay, so now let's create a line chart. And I know you guys, maybe you don't want my exact charts, but I'm giving ideas. Now in our task list here, we have 2 values. So we have cost and actual cost. But the main thing is we want to compare cost to actual cost because we want to know in a project when we're in trouble and that we've actually put too many hours on a task. So I'm going to show that in a line chart and make sure I have enough space. So let's do charts, misclicking all over, charts, a line chart. And we're going to try and take up a lot of space here. Okay, so we have a line chart. I want to compare cost to actual cost, but I only want to do it for this project. So I'm going to go back to my on screen again, OnVisible. So OnVisible, so we can, this is a break. Can we just, so I'm just going to comment that out, and hopefully Power Apps doesn't have a heart attack when I do that. But that's how sometimes I do it in code. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to collect actual cost and cost and put it in that line graph. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear collection actual cost. Now this should be red, right? Because it doesn't exist yet. So actual cost does not exist, but we're going to do for all the same thing as before. So for all of this here, because this is what's filtering our project out. For when the project task list and the project ID is equal to the one selected, we're going to collect the collection actual cost, so that's what we cleared. And we want to collect the title when it's title, the actual cost when it's the actual cost, so I'm going to select it there, and the cost when it is cost. And let's see, I probably forgot a parentheses. I did at the end there. Okay, so you notice that this actually is like in quotations with a space because this is the actual name in SharePoint. That's why it looks like this. On the left side is the name we're giving it in our collection in Power Apps. On the right side of the colon is the name in SharePoint. So we've now collected the actual cost and cost of each of the title fields. So in my line chart here, we are going to pull in the collection actual cost. And we want to see the title and the cost. So it looks like it's already set up correctly. Let's go back and see charts. Now we only see one series right now. We want to make sure our line chart is 2 series. So in the properties, we can change the number of series to 2. And now let's kind of compare. You see cost is this color. They really don't show a difference. I want to make sure. So this is, let's see, I believe this one is red. Yeah, that's actual cost. And this is green. So the way to read this chart, and this is just my idea, you can create a line chart how you want over time or whatever. The way to read this chart is anytime the red line is over the green line, we have incurred an actual cost higher than our planned cost. So you can see right here, our planned cost was 1,000 on this task, but actually we were at 1,100. So here actually our actual cost is 400, but our planned cost was 500. So we're good there. Right here, it looks like we're a little bit off. Right now, the design is at 0 because we haven't done this task. So we could probably pull in something for like complete or not complete. We could do that. Let's see. Let's pull this in, and for our OnVisible property, in the filter, when, let's say, I think it's task status. Status is equal to complete. So we only want to compare when it's complete. So let's go back to charts. So these are our only ones that are complete. We have 3 tasks that are complete. First task, test task, then draw a wireframe and create work breakdown structure. Let's create another task, and it's going to be we'll just call it screen charts. That's the title. Priority is medium. Percent complete will be 100. The cost will be 50. Actual cost was actually 100. It took us longer. It's complete. And we'll just leave the date as it is. and I'll hit save. All right, so we have a new task in here that is 100% complete. And something that we did before was we made it so we could edit this. And so maybe this was actually 6 patch. So that actually pops up into place. That's something we did in a previous video. So if you want to see my previous videos, go right ahead. All my previous videos for this project will be in the description in YouTube. So now let's go back to charts, and you'll notice that we now have the, let's see, screen chart here, and we can see that the actual cost was a little bit more than the planned cost. So I think both of these charts, so we'll name this chart. So I actually changed the order of these. This is the project here, the project name. Maybe we'll make this big. So this is the project that we're under, and we have our task risk and actual cost versus cost. I do think both of these charts could be valuable, but the point is not for you to copy exactly what I'm doing here. The point is for you to understand how we've created these charts. The charts may seem easy, but it's all about that math that we do in our collections. So creating those collections that we have is what actually helps us create the charts as we want. So we have no completed tasks here. Maybe I'll add like a check mark here that writes if it's complete, but we're just doing piece by piece. I'm throwing things together. The reason for these videos right now is to show you how to do one thing so you can do it in another way. I know I'm leaving blanks in there. Everything's not perfect, but I do think these videos are helpful. I'm getting good feedback from you guys. So thank you everyone who's watching. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done that. We have created 2 charts here. These are based on our task list, and they are only showing it when we're viewing one project. So this is this one project, our task risk, mostly in the green. We could probably do more on risk. In project management, you have your risk and your probabilities. So the likelihoodness of a risk happening times the impact, which is like high, medium, low, like how much it will impact your project. If you multiply those, you then get risk exposure. So say, you know, it's 10% or 5% and it's really high, that'll give you a risk exposure. If it's 100%, or that wouldn't be a risk. If it's 90% and really low, you know, you'll still have a low risk exposure. Actually, what happens if a risk becomes 100% probability, it's no longer a risk. It's called an issue. So that's just some project management if you guys wanted to know. But thank you guys for watching. We do have these 2 charts now. We can use the second chart here to compare cost versus actual cost. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.